I'm sure you know how to count in English, but there's much more to numbers than simply counting. I'm going to go over some details that will help you improve your English fluency when it comes to numbers. I'm your English teacher Kay with ISpeakSpokeSpoken. Now let's get started with the video. Don't forget that you can click here on the little I to download all of these slides. Take the free quiz at the end and let me know in the comments down below how you did. To get started with numbers, we can look at two important details. There are digits, which are elements from 0 to 9, and there are numbers, which is a combination of digits. For example, the code has 4 digits, 1, 9, 7, and 5. If you go to a hotel, maybe you put something in the safe, and the code is made up of digits. Those individual elements, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And numbers are a combination of digits. For example, our company has over 300 employees. 300 is a number which is made up of individual digits. There are 3 digits, 3, 0, 0, in the number 300. Let's take a look at pronunciation. There's a stress on the first syllable in digit, digit, and a stress on the first syllable in number, number. Let's practice this. 5, 5. And this one, we have a little stress on the first syllable with the main stress on the last syllable. Employees, employees. Let's take a look at digits 1 to 10. I'm sure you already know how to count, but let's make sure your pronunciation sounds like mine. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. These are the fundamental digits for counting, and let's take a look at some examples of how we can use them in sentences. He has 1 brother and 3 sisters. Don't forget to emphasize the first syllable in brother, brother. Or, for example, she found $10 on the street. We put stress on the first syllable in dollars, dollars. Now here's where I want you to pay attention. From numbers 11 to 20, known as the teens, I hear many of my students make a mistake by placing the stress on the wrong part of the word, which can lead to confusion when you are speaking with a native speaker and mispronouncing numbers. They may hear 19 but understand it as 90, so we're going to work on putting the stress in the right place. As you can see, we have stresses on the second syllable of every teen word until we get to 20. I'll go through each one and I want you to say it just like me. 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. And here we stress the first syllable. 20. Let's practice those once again. 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. Very good. And this one, 20. For example, my cousin is 17 years old. When we pronounce this word, even though there is an L, it can sound a bit softer. Old, old, old. And this here, we pronounce without the U sound, guest, guest, guest. I want you to really focus on pronouncing these words with the proper stress on the proper syllable. Now let's move on to the tens. Again, pronunciation is key so that someone understands you are saying a number in the tens and not in the teens. As you remember, in the teens, we stress the second syllable. Numbers in the tens, we stress the first syllable. Another tip for pronunciation which will help you is that the T sound in these numbers will sound more like a D sound. It's a softer T. This number, we say 30. You can hear that there's a soft T sound and stress on the first syllable. I want you to say it with me. 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90. You can hear that in the teens, there is more pronunciation on the T sound, and in the tens, there's more of a D sound. We can use these numbers in an example sentence such as 40 people attended the meeting, or I live 80 miles away from the city. Let's take a look at pronunciation. We have a stress on the first syllable in meeting. And this symbol here under the T shows us that it's a soft T sound, just like in the numbers in the tens. Meeting, meeting. And away has a stress on the second syllable. Away, away. Now let's take a look at hundreds. We actually don't put an S at the end of this word, and we simply express numbers in these quantities as 100 or 200. For example, our village has about 200 houses. You don't say 200s, you don't say 300s, don't put the S on the end. Simply say 100, 200, 300. Or, for example, they raised $400. Checking pronunciation, we have stress on the first syllable in houses, houses, and a stress on the first syllable in dollars, dollars. Even more importantly, when we're pronouncing this number correctly, there's also a stress on the first syllable, hundred, hundred. Now let's take a look at the thousands. When we have a number like this, we say 2,312. Again, we don't put an S at the end. We don't say 2,000s, 3,000s, no S, just like with hundreds, no S, 100, 200, same for these kinds of numbers. We can look at some example sentences such as, the book sold over 5,000 copies. Not 5,000s, 5,000. Or, there were 2,312 participants, not 2,000s. Remember, no S. Going back to check pronunciation, copies has a stress on the first syllable, copies, copies. And participants has a stress on the second syllable, participants, participants. And here's something I want to draw your attention to. This word and is only coming at the end of the number. 2,312 participants. Normally, if we have a number such as 312, we don't put and. But if we have a larger number in the thousands, we will put and here. But we'll practice this more later. Now let's test your knowledge. I've got some numbers here, which you probably know how to say, and hopefully you know how to write them. Are you going to put the stress where it belongs? That's right. 11. Stress on the second syllable. 11. And this one? I added a hyphen here, which is important for any number in the tens. Of course, you remember that we have a stress on the first syllable for numbers in the tens, and this T makes a soft T sound, 50, 50. But when we add another number at the end, the stress changes. The main stress is on the last syllable. 51, 51. And this one? Good. 19. And how about this one? Take a look up here for a hint. Again, we have the hyphen between the number and the tens and the final digit. When we have numbers like this, remember to put the stress at the end. 91, 91. And how about this one? That's right, it's 0, 0. Sometimes you'll hear people call this different kinds of slang words, but for now we can call it 0. That's it for our part 1 of a complete guide to numbers in English. And if you haven't already, make sure you click here to take a test which will tell you your level in English. Once again, I'm Kay with ISpeakSpokeSpoken, and it's been a pleasure teaching you today. I'll see you next time. Bye!